and then you had Tulsa.
Yes.
1921.
We had Tulsa and Rosewood.
Rosewood, and you had Wilmington, North Carolina.
That's right.
You
That's
had,
right.
So you're talking about 1919 summer, 1919 red summer.
Right.
So all of that, it was kind of beyond our control. But now we're beyond that, and we have control, and we're not.
We do have control.
Well, we don't have the outside forces like Tulsa and that type of thing. So we have the control of maintaining and our resources so that it can benefit our posterity.
All right. Okay. But the civil rights movement was that a jump start? Did you consider the civil rights movement a jump start into this world, the new world order? Because it was a new world order for African Americans. Well,
it was, but it was a resistance, of what was being we were being afflicted with, and after World War II, experience of the soldiers in Europe, and they came back, they had a level of resistance. Then World War II, it's one. Then World War II, we got even greater, and then of course Emmett Till massacre, sparked black men to where we were willing to put ourselves on the line. So that was a boy, I'm a man. Do that to me.
That's true. Okay.
So that stimulation started. Then of course you had the bus boycott that was successful. That people had perseverance and made sacrifices. And they saw that precedence of the perseverance and the sacrifice, that you get results. So that all those steps in the movement, moved us in a direction of trying to attain some level of equality. But you're not going to get equality. What we will want, and what we still trying to get today, is equal opportunity.
Yeah, equal opportunity for the loans, equal opportunity for education, because we still have enough money in our educational system. But you are putting this in print.
Yes.
That's what's important.
But the main thing is entrepreneurship, is industrialization. You can't live in an industrial world and not be industrial and expect to be respected.
Another hot topic that we have had a conversation about it before is being consumers versus being entrepreneurs, because we live in a society of business. We don't live in a giveaway society. We don't live in a welfare system society. We really don't. We live in a system of conservative and making your own way and making your money. We have the latitude to do that. Am I on point here?
Yes. It always comes down to supply and demand.
Yes, true, true.
So that we understand what the demand is, and now we have to provide a way to supply it. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can do the same thing that other people do in the same process, or we can come up with our own. But the biggest thing is unity. Right now, that's our big obstacle. That's the brick wall that we're running into, is lack of unity.
Wow, you got a lot of ground to cover. How long do you plan to live? Like 104, 104? Because we live in a capitalistic society.
Yes.
A lot of people will say, well, African Americans are doing great because now we have sports. We have these billionaires.
Yeah, but we're doing worse than we've ever done.
We're doing worse.
Worse than we've ever done.
Coach.
Because if you look at the ratio, you're talking about of the wealth, 90% is in the white community and 10% in the black community, and then you got black males with college degrees. Average income is $80,000 a year.
Okay.
Average white male with a college degree, $600,000 a year. So you see the discrepancy.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's definite. I thought you were going to say the 77% that African Americans make up in the prison systems.
And that too, and that's where our youth. That's when we talk about our posterity. Our young black males is being herded to the prison system that's become private, for profit.
Okay.
That is not, they're not making any new state prisons. All the new prisons that's coming up are for profit. Private prisons. Private prisons.
I see where you're going.
And you got corporations investing, and you got they own the Wall Street. Market. They own the stock market.
Right.
So they got investors now, and so they taking out corporal punishment from schools. Okay, and people were applauding that, which is crazy because now they're writing up kids. So at third grade, they're starting to monitor the number of write-ups they get. So they got a paper trail
on that child in the third grade
to tell them how many prison rooms to have the next 10 years.
Oh, you're right. I did a story on that many years ago.
So we think we're progressing when we're digressing, and we can't see it.
We're talking to an author. The Liberation of a Black Mind. Order the book. It's easy to get. The book is an easy read also. It's very easy to read. And the second book is going to be even more dynamic. And I opened the show with, where's your book? Because Coach Saulsbury has his book. This is the first one, Liberation of a Black Mind. The second one is the Emancipation of the Descendants of Former Slaves. What do you think about Willie Mays? Television has been full of Willie Mays the last week. He was a baseball player from the Deep South, Jim Crow days.
Yes, he was a trailblazer, and he was super athlete. That was, many athletes of his caliber were not recognized, because of segregation, But Willie Mays made that transition from the Negro Leagues to the major leagues, and he was the first and the primary person to do that, along with
along with the other baseball players.
No, I can't think of his name. I know in my mind.
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson. Thank you. Along
my
with
dad
Jackie
loved
Robinson.
baseballs.
Yeah,
I'm real familiar with baseball.
But Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays. But Willie Mays was he played defense, and he was a good batter. He was base stealer. He was a home run hitter. He made outstanding catches.
Yeah.
So. People were just amazed at Willie Mays, and people didn't come to watch baseball. They came to watch Willie Mays.
Yeah, they did.
And I can remember when I was a kid in elementary school, and they had the World Series going on. We was in the playground and during recess, and the teachers had their little transistor radios, and all you could hear was Willie Mays.
Yeah. We've had a couple of days, and we're getting a little off the subject. I just want you to meet this outstanding gentleman writing about all the liberation of the black man and of the black mind and the emancipation of the descendants of former slaves. I'm going to ask you another question about black athletes, because this past week, before the Willie Mays thing hit, there was a merging of the Black League, the Black Negro League, and the major leagues. They are merging those two, let's say, ideals, because they were two separate leagues.
Yeah, they merged them for the Hall of Fame.
Well, when they merged them, the African American athletes moved way up as the best of that time and outnumbered the white players. What are your thoughts on that? Do you care? Does that make a difference?
No, it makes a world. That's what people don't understand, is that the superiority of the African American, mentally, physically, and spiritually. The superiority. We want to talk about other people claiming to be superior and not understanding and recognizing our own superiority.
Ah. So what, well, does it seem to you as though we have, how much time do I have, Chance, please?
You have about 15.
Okay, great. Does it seem to you as though they've ignored those advances, but now they're coming out? They come out every day. You get a piece of this and a piece of that. We have students that are, we have black women that are graduating from all of the schools in airline, in all of the major fields. So the superiority is in your mind, isn't it? What do you think about that? Where's that superiority? Or is it just people pushing down a certain class of people?
Superiority has to be manifested physically.
Okay.
You know, it's Michael Jordan had to prove his superiority. You know, Muhammad Ali said that he knew he was the greatest before he became the greatest. But like you said, it does start in the mind.
Yeah.
And but we have to understand our power and for ourselves, among ourselves, as opposed to being dictated what level they want us to be at or they accept us to be at.
Okay.
And so knowing thyself and knowing your real history of creation, of humankind, of civilization, human design, makes all the difference.
Well, I hear exactly what you're saying, because we have this saying in our family about and everybody's heard this before, we won't do business with each other as a people.
That's the unity piece that we're missing.
That's the unity people. Oh, okay. And then there's another phrase, I was in corporate America a long time, the white man's ice is colder. Yeah, it's a lot colder. So we got all of these dynamics. So, and then we don't get along as a people. But I don't think do you think races get along? Where do they get along where we don't get along?
Self-love.
With the money?
Self-love.
I think I have archbishops, and I need to get them in this conversation because I talk to them every week. But I'm just trying to get a feel for it. You were born in the South.
Yes.
In fact, you were somewhere around when Dr. King was killed. We haven't talked about that.
I was 14 years old, 1968, when King was killed in Memphis at Lorraine Motel.
At the Lorraine Hotel. How far away was your family from that location?
That was downtown. We were in South Memphis, probably 10 miles.
I cannot imagine being in the same place where Dr. King was killed.
Yeah, I knew Reverend Lawson, who invited King to Memphis on several occasions. Billy Cowles, I knew Billy Cowles actually was married me. I'm not saying
now,
married.
who's Billy Cowles?
Billy Cowles was on the balcony with him. Now,
that scene, that famous scene? Okay.
Yes, this is why he died. He got killed because my best buddy that I was in business with, Ed Redditt, was one of the first black police officers, and he was assigned he volunteered to be King's bodyguard in Memphis. But Mayor Loeb refused to give him a relief. And
what do you mean?
He was bodyguard, but he didn't have any relief. He can't work.
Oh, you can't work.
Yeah, so he was on his feet with King for 48 hours straight, and he told them, "Look, I'm about to pass out here. I got to go and take a nap. I'm gonna go take a 4-hour nap. Y'all stay in the Lorraine Motel. Don't go nowhere till I get back." And Billy Cowles' wife, they were getting ready to go to speak that night, and Billy Cowles' wife had fixed dinner at his house, and Cowles wanted him to go to have dinner with at his house before they went to the meeting, the church.
The church.
And he said, "Well, now, Ed told us not to go. Ed told us to stay here until he gets back." Well, it's about 7 of us. We can bodyguard as good as Ed can. He's just one man, So let's just go to Ed to dinner and then go to the church. And so, Ed woke up. He was having a dream. He said that King had been assassinated while he was sleeping. He woke up and turned the TV on, and it had happened.
And it had already happened. We're talking about a time in our history. Now a lot of the other information is really coming out about everything, because you can't tell all of the story at one time. That's why books are so important. That's why your individual voice needs to be heard, just like Saulsbury, Coach Saulsbury did with the liberation of a black mind. This is really about a kid who grew up in the South and moved to the North and then finally grew up completely. Now he's 70 years old. So that liberation of his mind gives you a journey. And I see you following that journey, because life was different in the South. I'm from the South. It was much different for those children, and they have a different definition than the ones that were raised in, say, New York or in the East or even California.
Yeah.
So those stories need to be told.
And I say that it's getting worse. I mean, we're.
Oh, please don't say that. We got to get
I'm
better.
saying, but to acknowledge
Yes.
the digression. You know, you can look at the statistics. We're moving away from industrialization, and we have to move toward industrialization. We moved into inclusion and white adjacency and, you know, integration and social and things like that. But as an industrial piece, as in an industrial world, having an impact in industry, we're losing.
Okay. We're not moving with the times.
We're not moving industrially. And industrially, I mean...
Well, now, Coach, if you talk about industry, we just talked about this. I did another show somewhere. We are leaving the factory and the farm. We have internet now.
Yeah, but we have to... Industry comes from the ground.
Oh, you're talking about agriculture and going back to living on the earth.
Mining and agriculture, because
okay.
everything is produced from that. And if you're not in agriculture and mining, you got to go to the people who are.
Oh, okay.
And so they have the power. Now, and we're talking about primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary in economics.
Okay.
But it starts at the primary level with raw material. And then they put the raw material together for the secondary. And then it's marketed in the tertiary, and it's researched and developed in the quaternary. So we have to make those moves like everybody else. You can't skip steps, you know, to become an industrial.
It's in concert.
Yeah, it's in concert. So being, and this is what Donald Trump said last summer, that he don't see how any African person could ever be poor, and he ain't never lied.
Wow.
Because if you mentally, physically, and spiritually superior, and you come from the superior land of resources of Africa, what's the problem?
I definitely need to get you and the bishops together. This is going to be an enlightening conversation because you touched on some things that we rarely hear anything about. And that's why I asked you, where is your book? Do the same thing that the coach did. Write it. Do a sequel to that one. And it sounds like he's got some others that he's going to think about. Why did you retire? I have to ask you that before we go. Why did you retire?
From teaching or coaching.
Oh, they were different?
Well, I retired from teaching and coaching. I guess coaching it was really my thing, and I love developing athletes mentally and physically. But then in track, you have all these track clubs coming up now, and they start with kids real young, and they're involved in them financially, and it's becoming almost an industry of developing, and they're exploiting a lot of kids, and it's all become financial, and then they're training them stuff, and you try to train them, correct them, and you run into a problem, you know, trying to correct their training and their form and their techniques, and the parents, you know, are with the buddy that trained them prior to them coming to you, and so there's too many conflicts in navigating. So I started to training myself.
Okay.
In Masters and Senior Olympics, and so I've won several state championships, even in Texas, and I was in the state championship at in 2021 when I injured my Achilles. I ruptured my Achilles in the state championship.
I do know what that is.
Yeah. So I focused on me, and so that's one of my physical goals in trying to maintain my fitness and my health, transcendental meditation, mentally and spiritually.
And that's a Hindu practice.
It is a Hindu practice. They call it Hindu sleep. And people say, "Well, you Christian and you're doing." I do chanting that's Buddhist. You know,
I go to a club. You know what? You coming back? Mm-hmm. He's going on vacation. He's finished. I'm finishing the book, and he is going to come back. Now, here's the real story. The coach and I want you to write a book. He wrote this from scratch, basically no training. Yeah. Just sat down and got it done, because libraries are wonderful. We want books everywhere about our childhood. So when are you coming back?
As soon as you invite me.
As soon as I invite you.
I'm at your disposal. You're my editor.
I love it. No, I just love that, because people are writing. The conversations that we have are to make you a better person. The conversations are to make you think. And this one is the liberation of a black mind.
And now my colleagues have asked me, how in the world did you get Esther Davis to edit your book?
I know.
Everybody in DFW is trying to get her to do their book.
It's something that
all God.
All God, yes, and we got it done.
Mm-hmm.
Even with I used to have a very, very heavy travel schedule, and I stopped that. I have the TV shows.
But I was an appraiser, and I appraised your property.
Oh, that's right, you did.
That's how I met you.
That's been a long time ago.
Yeah, and I saw the room that you were working at, all these books you had, and they were all Afrocentric books, and but God it's a divine connection.
Yes, it was. And I was intrigued with his methodology of teaching children. I've never taught children, but I've had a show for 30 years. Listen, we got to go. And Coach is going to come back, talk about his second book, and I'll be working on it while he's on vacation. How about that? How about give us some words of advice on this book? Did you liberate your mind?
That's the thing. It all starts with the mind, and we're still free slaves mentally.
We're free slaves. Wow.
Mentally, we are free slaves, and we relegate the opportunity to be free. But see, freedom requires responsibility. Mm-hmm. We don't want the responsibility of developing.
Well, we want all the rewards of
right.
it. Yeah.
But you don't want the responsibility of what it takes to become industrial.
Right. Wow.
But we still satisfied with a job and with credit and being able to move to the suburbs. But we have to be entrepreneurs, we have to be producers, and not just employees and consumers.
His name is Calvin Saulsbury. He's done it all. He's writing a second book. And my question to you is, where is your book? I've got to go. And by the way, you really are. You still are the greatest audience in the world. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.